back to this process here, could you walk through, kind of visually walk us through the process of doing a scenario where putting some kind of mineral in and you want to replicate it, beginning to end, kind of just step by step?
So we're going to seal up our device completely. We're going to put the lid on and we're going to seal it down completely with our O-ring. And that's only important if you're actually capturing your hydrogen and running it. I mean, like I said, you could have this in a 5-gallon bucket, but I'm all about multi-purposing. I'm all about finding different ways. And so if we're boiling hydrogen off, there's no purpose to that unless we're actually using it. And like I said, this is what I'll heat my shop with this year during the winter. We seal it together. We put everything together. We prep our solution in a gallon or 2 gallons of water. Okay, we either use our high concentration spring water, our salt water if we're brave. We use our mineral water, electric water, whatever you want to concentrate. You prepare that over here, and you pour that into your reservoir. Okay, your reservoir, which is sitting, yay high, which is marked on the side to show where you want to fill it up to. You pour it in there, and the water equalizes, and then you cap your reservoir, just like on my machine over there. And you're going to take your electrodes, you're going to take your electricity, whether you're doing it from a generator, whether you're doing it from a solar panel, a windmill generator, something like that. If you're using a windmill generator, I encourage you to use a battery. I'm not a fan of batteries, but windmill generators go up and down and up and down. And so you want a kind of an equalized battery, or equalized voltage. Take that power and you plug it on here, positive, negative, and you just let it go. You just let it go. If you're collecting your hydrogen, you run it over to your hydrogen collector, a couple of 55-gallon drums or something like that, and you just watch the mineral content as it builds up in your reservoir. In the reservoir here, it's going to get darker and darker as the element content builds up. And it looks like rust. It's not rust. Like I said, we're not disintegrating plates. We've measured the plates. We're not disintegrating.
And it's basically the same thing going on in this main chamber,
yes,
as is going on in the reservoir.
That's right. Because the two are connected in the way that we've described, the two are going to basically be equal. There may be a little bit more concentration in here that hasn't traveled over to your reservoir, but that's okay.
And when you say let it go, are you talking hours, days, or?
The concentration that you see here is probably about 24 hours worth of running from start to finish with a clear additive in the seed elements. 24 hours. So whether that's that was off of a solar panel, so that was about 3 days worth, maybe 4 days worth of sunlight.
Okay.
Because of the clouds and stuff like that. If you're running a pure DC source from a generator or something, it's going to be 24 hours, and you're going to see a significant deposit over there. I haven't felt impressed to just leave it there. Okay, I don't want it to short out my plates. I don't want it to build up so high. I want to drain it off and collect it. I've got barrels and barrels of it now. Got to figure out where to put it or where to take it,
So the matter of taking off that's going to be
simple. Very simple to do if you have a reservoir. It's even simpler if you have this configuration, because you just undo that and pour it into a gallon jug. If you have a reservoir, you just unhook it from where you're working and pour it out into a gallon jug, and then put it back in place and start again. So very simple way. See the video from TeslaTech, my presentation. I've got a picture of it on the wall. A very simple system with the reservoir and the hydrogen column there, or the bubbling column there, and the flashback arrestor, and you can get a good visual of it. Why do I keep on forgetting about that? It looks just like that. Yeah. Very simple. Just pour it out and away you go.
Okay.
You could even have a pigtail off of here with a little valve that allows you to open it, pour it out, and go with that. I always think about those things after I'm done building. I was like, oh, shoot, well, that'd be really nice right there. But we don't have it, so we'll try this. So,
how much seed?
What's that?
How much seed?
I put what you see here started out I've never added more. I started out with about a bottle of my electric water and about 3 or 4 ounces of the gold and platinum. Okay, and it just keeps on breeding, you know. But for I'd start out with heck, you could even, oh, that's an interesting idea. You could even just mix up a batch of black sands and put that and pour that in there. Of course, then you get a lot of iron oxide, and we don't want that. So never mind. Forget I said that. It's an experimental thing. We're gonna experiment and see. I mean, I'm sure that there are people that go out and buy colloidal silver and pour it in this thing. There you go.
So I was gonna ask.
Okay. Anyway, moving right along. What's that?
Exactly.
Yeah. So remember my lesson that I mentioned earlier from alchemy. Silver. If you look at the Bible, silver is currency. Gold is never currency. Silver is currency. Gold is for ceremony and enlightenment. The silver metals are for making money. Alchemists are forbidden from using gold to make themselves wealthy. Nicholas Flamel made 2 batches of gold at like 4 or 5 pounds each. He gave it all away. Every bit of it. Built churches, built orphanages, built roads. He made silver and kept himself. He lived in the same house his parents gave him all his life. He never went, he did travel and study and learn, but he didn't elevate his status. Gold, to elevate your status, you will get a hammer from the universe. Everyone that's tried it has. So platinum is a little bit different. You can sell platinum, but here's a little secret. Platinum makes an adamantine warrior. Stan Lee did not create the idea of adamantium with Wolverine's skeleton and stuff like that. Adamant is referenced in an 1820s alchemist Masonic handbook. They referenced it as the indestructible metal of the Atlantean alchemists. It was made from it's a composite of platinum and steel alloys that we cannot reproduce today. They have found rivets and coffins of these things made out of this stuff. Can't even reproduce it. It had to be alchemical. So anyway, and they date back to before recorded history. So anyway.
You bleed off your gas and you say you put it in 55-gallon drum. Is there a specific gravity that with this gas where you can bleed it out of the tank?
My apologies. I had that in my lecture, but I had to skip over that because we were out of time. It's a 55-gallon drum with a 35-gallon drum inserted into it, and you fill it with the bottom cut out, and you fill it with water so that as the hydrogen fills it up, it pushes the 35-gallon drum up. And you have grounding straps in it. You have stainless steel strips inside and out riveted in place, and then grounding straps out there so no static can build up as you're doing it. That's how I store hydrogen and oxygen, excuse me. And that way I can use it without pressurizing it. If you pressurize Brown's gas, you will die. Over 100 psi, it's at any point over 100 psi, it can explode. I've seen it done up to 60 to inject into a turbocharger, but anything over 100 is fatally dangerous.
Does it lay around like propane?
That's outside the scope of this, but the longer you let it sit, the weaker it becomes. You have a question?
Yeah. Talking about the intentions, and what about if you're creating these metals to finance research and development of clean energy sources?
This is a beautiful and noble purpose. The issue that...
Repeat that.
What if you're using the metals that you're creating to finance research and development of clean energy sources or other noble, benevolent...
And that actually fits with alchemy. That's one of the purposes of alchemy. Fulcanelli went to the researchers in France right before World War II who were trying to build the atomic bomb. And he said, what you're doing will destroy this planet. Alchemy is the only answer to stop it. And that's recorded in the scientific journals there. Fulcanelli is one of the greatest alchemists of Europe in the last century. But you can do that, and it's akin to Nicholas Flamel using his alchemical metal creations to fund more of his research into alchemy and immortality. So you can do that. The problem arises when you get people with egos involved, okay? A huge amount of money in research, let's say $100,000 is devoted to research into something, and I know this from personal experience, $5,000 of it goes to the researcher, and a huge amount of money goes to the administrative costs, okay? That's the same thing as profits. So you have to be very careful with the spirit of the people involved. Once you get gold involved, what is the quote? When gold is involved, the laws of God and men are set at naught. That was Nicholas Flamel. When gold is involved, the laws of God and men are set at naught.
Expound just a little bit.
What this means is, anybody heard of gold fever?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's the short term.
Yes.
Gold fever.
The gold. People know that gold is the most important. Is a representation of a higher level of consciousness. Okay. But people that don't resonate at a higher level of consciousness see it as something that they want to obtain at any cost. And gold can be considered to be wealth, gold can be considered to be power. Usually gold is considered to be the yellow metal. And so they desire this, and they will do anything that it takes to obtain it and control it. And so, I mean, I've seen people shot not over the gold, but over the possibility of gold.
Exactly.
So what you have to do is you have to find people who will rise above that. It's like I was talking to somebody earlier. I have held a rock in my hand. It's a white rock, and it looks like nothing. And if I held a pound of that and a pound of gold in my hand, and an angel or one of you or somebody came up and said, "Throw one of them away," I'd throw away the gold in a heartbeat, because the rock is an element that contains so much power for healing and energy and health and betterment of the world that the yellow metal will never be. Okay? Well, that it could be, but this is in its raw form, and we can use it so much better. So that's what I would do. So when you start dealing with research and development and making alchemical money for putting that towards research and development, you have to make certain that there's nobody skimming out of the coffer, there's no egos involved, that it's really the people that are working on it that absolutely need it that are getting it. Or you just start playing with silver and you're okay. Device completely. We're going to put the lid on and we're going to seal it down completely with our O-ring. And that's only important if you're actually capturing your hydrogen and running it. I mean, like I said, you can have this in a 5-gallon bucket, but I'm all about multi-purposing. I'm all about that over here, and you pour that into your reservoir, okay? Your reservoir, which is sitting, yay high, which is marked on the side to show where you want to fill it up to. You pour it in there, and the water equalizes, and then you cap your reservoir, just like.
Back to this process here, could you walk through, kind of visually walk us through the process of doing a scenario where you're putting some kind of mineral in and you want to replicate it, beginning to end, kind of just step by step.
So we're going to seal up our together. We prep our solution in a gallon or 2 gallons of water. Okay, we either use our high concentration spring water, our salt water for Brave. We use our mineral water, electric water, whatever you want to concentrate. You prepare, finding different ways. And so if we're boiling hydrogen off, there's no purpose to that unless we're actually using it. And like I said, this is what I'll heat my shop with this year during the winter. We seal it together. We put everything together.